Welcome ladies and gentlemen to episode number 5 of my Transport Fever series here on the Orkney Islands. In today's Orkney Island news, edition number 2 for episode number 5, the financial crisis is supposedly over, though will there be more to this tale? A boat service from Braeswick to Eddy has been proposed, through comments in the description. New buses are helping to ease overcrowding which were deployed in the last episodes. Loans are quickly running out. The maximum loans we can take is 30 million and we're already into the low 20s. Finally, work is to continue in the South Orkney Islands with some new routes. Also, did you know that there are no railways in the Orkney Islands? Our series is going to allow for it, but in real life there is no railways. Before we start today's live gameplay, I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody who has been watching the series, leaving their support. Like ratings are very much appreciated. I do like to really use that as an engagement to see how the series is going, and so far it is going really well, so thank you. Anyway, on to today's gameplay. So, in today's live gameplay, let me start off by showing you what I built. I've not put it into time-lapse just because it's so small, there's not really much justification for time-lapse, but let's start in Braeswick. There's been a small change. We've got a second dock, which I always sort of knew there was going to be a second dock because it's on a peninsula, so I expect Braeswick to fill up a lot of this peninsula, and having the two docks really kind of makes sense because it would take a long time for the boat to get all the way around. This does mean that I've modified the bus route. I've added in an extra bus stop up here. Already there's 5 people waiting somehow, I don't know how. I'm guessing maybe from these houses here, which is fair enough, but I'm expecting this to get really busy when we get our boat going over to Eddy, which I hinted at in the last episode and in the news today. So this is East Eddy, and the long-term plan will be to go ahead and have another dock at Eddy over here, and that'll connect over to Egglesey. However, right now I'm not going to do that, and the reason is I don't think there'll be enough demand. I think Eddy needs to grow bigger first before we do that. Once that happens, then yes, I'm happy to connect them up, but probably not at this stage. I also took another loan of about 3 million as well, so we're now down to the remaining 2.5 million. Which is nervy, yes, but I do feel we're so close to profit now that I'm quite happy. The other advantage of connecting up to Eddy at this side, which is, I don't know when it'll happen, it's really difficult to say, but I want to connect up to Rapness. Rapness is ready pretty much to be connected up. It's not got too bad a population, so I'm looking at that very soon as well. And I think going forwards, if we can maybe even connect that as well into Surin, because that's not too far away from Surin, and as an advantage, Surin's already got a harbour as well, which is nice to see. But let's go ahead and start off here. So I'm going to need to have some form of bus route in Eddy, that is for sure. I don't know if it is pronounced Eddy. I'm saying like the name Eddy, but Eddy, I don't know, I'm going with Eddy. Anyway, it's quite an easy pronunciation. So if we have a loop around there and then we come along Main Street and we come back along to the docks, one thing that is really adding to my costs, I build a harbour, and a harbour costs 250,000 near enough, but I'm building a road up through the landscape here, which this might not be the total best place to build it, but even if I was to build it, for example, over here, I still have to go up quite a lot in elevation from where the road would be to the actual town, and that's cost me an extra like 50 to 100k each time, and that is the sort of hidden cost which you don't really expect, but it has been catching me out quite a few times, which is really unfortunate. Okay, let's have a bus stop here, and this bus stop would be for essentially the harbour. Let's have another stop there for the bottom of that street. Let's have a quick stop there, a stop at the town square, which I think will be the busiest. Let's have another one there, and then I'm going to build another one there in the hope that building works move out here, and I think we could probably do the same here as well, because I expect the town to grow at this side especially, so I expect this full road along here to pretty much fill up, so let's pre-build for the future there. I think that's a really good idea. So we jump into our bus tab and let's grab, and it is going to be just a circle, which I'm not necessarily a fan of the circles, and we've already discovered that on some islands, and particularly Egglesey and Weir, that the circle hasn't really worked too well, and I can understand that. Point to point seem to do quite well, and I'm not going to do 2 circles. because I know that'll just be an absolute catastrophic loss. So this bus route will be modified, but to start off with anyway, let's go and just, we don't really have much other choice. The area is really small. It's, yeah, got 99 people, so I'm not expecting too much. What we'll do now though is we'll get the roads depot in here as well, which is in with here, and the question is what kind of buses we're going to start on. I think I'm actually going to start on the smaller buses on the post bus, just because I don't think we need Daimlers yet. Daimlers cost an extra about 35,000, and as I'm being money conscious, I think we'll just go ahead and stick 3 out. Now my big concern is that I'm going to stop that bus right there, because these 3 buses are actually going to essentially be following each other, so that's not very good, and we're actually going to stop this bus as well. There's going to be no room for these buses to overtake each other at any stage on this route, as it is sort of single lane all the way around and it's a perfect circle, so I do want to break stuff up. Though I do realise that the bus in front will probably wait longer at some stops for passengers, so this will sort of be interesting how that works out. But anyway, buses are on the go, which is good, and that means now we just need to get the boat on the go. Now, if we jump into our boats, we're doing quite well. I'm really happy to see finally Burray's Wick to Whitehall. I did touch it in the last episode. It's doing really well, and it's potentially time to upgrade some boats. As we can already see, we've already got 41 people waiting there. How many people have we got waiting at the harbour here? 68, so that boat could probably do with a capacity of about 75. So we'll look into that in a second after we've created our new route here. If anything, really what I could do is I could transfer the old boat onto this new route. Ah, I like that idea actually, and that saves me buying an extra boat. That is a good idea, Callum. The only thing that might hinder that is the problem of the 2 boat lines not being close enough, because sometimes with certain vehicles they only have a certain sphere of influence. But we'll give things a go. So with that named, let's jump in there. Let's very quickly pause because I see this boat loading up. Can we reassign it? We can reassign it, awesome. Right, so that's been transferred, and then what we're going to do is pause the game right now. If we jump into passengers here, we actually can't even buy the 50-seater ship anymore, which is interesting. So it looks like we're going to go for the front ack. It costs quite a lot, but capacity of 75, 60 miles per hour. I don't feel the Schaffhausen is justified yet. Might be in the future. Again, we can upgrade. Let's deploy that and let's set that. And I'm really happy I did, and I remember building this dock specifically here because it is going to have a nice effect on multiple parts of the sea. It is going to take a while for our boat to get round to the Eddy to Braeswick route, and hopefully by that time that'll start to fill some demand. Okay, so that's an upgrade there, which is good. We're going to put the game to ×3 speed. We're going to fly over to our lovely land of Burray, Weir, Egglesey, and I want to also look at the boat capacities here. Now, we've got 50 people for that boat. So you're already running on 100, which I think that makes sense. I'm more curious about this boat here. So you've only got 39 people there, but you've got 99 people waiting there, which gives me the indication I think a 75 would be justified here as well. Financially, the boat's doing relatively well. It's at 14k, which is good. That's amazing to see 100 people are travelling. That is phenomenal. Not sorry, 100 people, 100,000. Like, that is phenomenal money. But I mean, it is the perfect distance. It's not too short like the Burray to Weir, because they're just, it's such a small ferry, but it's not too long either. It's got a really good rate on it, really good rate. What I am going to do is I'm going to upgrade this though. All the thinking, I'm just going to go for it, because right now it's not making too much anyway, so we're not preserving too much. Let's go for the front Enac again. Let's replace now 345k. I suppose the other boat's probably quite close to the end of its lifetime, but let's see how that gets on. Let's really see how that gets on. Right now, okay, we're not sitting at a great number. It's roughly about 10, 12k. It's been bouncing around. This boat will be able to go across the water faster as well, which is good. Arguably, I don't even know if it can get up to its maximum speed because it just goes in and out of the harbour so quickly. But hey ho, we'll come back to that. But yeah, we can see there's 88 people waiting here, and even more people coming down the ramp. You can see it, it's crazy. So we're going to leave this for now though, and we're going to run away to the other side of the map, because I did also say that I want to focus on the south. We've not really been or really spent too much time in the south. I have an idea which I'm not going to build right now, but I do want to run past you in a second. I just want to check how this route's actually doing down here. We're at 101,000, which is really... that's the wrong route. We're at minus 15k. Okay, so that's not good. Why is that? I believe it is just such a long distance. I think that's the issue. I have an idea. And my idea is to go and instead have a bus stop roughly... or a bus area. I don't know why. I'm trying to use a marker. There's no markers in this game. Say for example here, we have a hub. And this central hub, we have a bus coming in from Rackwick, then we have a bus coming in from Lyoness and a bus coming in from Longhope, and then people can change there, and that means each town has its own demand, and I think that could be quite useful. I'm not sure if it'd be financially viable at this stage, and it would cost me quite a lot of money, because I'd have to redraw quite a few roads. I'd want to redraw the Lyoness roads, I'd have to redraw part of the Longhope roads, and we'd have to get a road from Rackwick, which... If you've seen a few of my other episodes in this series, it's really hilly. Really hilly here. So I can't see that happening right now, but tell me what you think of that, and that might come along in a future episode. What I do want to do is connect up some of these towns though. The good thing is as well, there is a road between Burray and this island here with St. Margaret's Hope on it, which is awesome, so we can make use of that. And then we're onto the mainland, which I don't want to touch quite yet. But what we're going to do is we're going to connect up some of these towns down here. That's nice. Oil well. Oil refinery. Okay, let's connect some of these towns up. So the first question is, how much would a bridge cost? And let's select the right road this time. If we're to build a bridge... that's really not bad. And we're going to do it. I'm just going to be ballsy and I'm just going to do it. And then from the town here... 69k is a lot, so we can get that down to 17, get that down to 17 again, and then a nice small run in there. 32k is not too bad, so that's those two towns connected up. Burray is looking... 138 is a decent population for a starting town, and St. Margaret's Hope's at 169, so these towns have demand, which is awesome. So let's go and see what we can do. If we jump back into our city streets, and let's connect those two up there, then we have pretty much actually got a nice figure of 8 in Burray, which is perfect. And then down here in St. Margarets, we have... if we do that there, that's perfect, and that creates a nice point-to-point route. I'm excited about this bus route. I do realise me building this bus route is probably going to spend most of my money though, which is a downfall, but we can quite easily go and wait for us to generate a bit more cash. I'm going to also go for the big buses off the bat here, because I do think they will be needed. And then if we come back along here, and then along here, that should do the trick. This is definitely a railway line. That's a big point. This is a railway line potential. And there's no... so one big point that has been talked about on my Discord server, link down below if you want to come along and join us, is that there's no railways in Orkney at all. And should I be building railways in Orkney? Yes, no. I sort of thought about not having railways, honestly, but I do feel that later game it's really going to be fundamental and we do need them. So I decided to ignore that, but that's just an interesting fact for those who might not know. There's no railways on Orkney. Which doesn't come as a surprise. There's about 22,000 people living there, so the only real reason you could maybe justify having railways on Orkney if there was industry, and, well, there is industry, but say for example you had a on-land oil well, and that was connecting up to the harbour or something, that would make sense, but there's not on Orkney, so I don't see... I do think it's needed on this map, that's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so let's go ahead and very quickly create this route, and I'm going to pre-build train stations as well, because I want to make sure that we are prepared for the future, as I touched on in the last episode as well. So that's nice, that's really nice. I'm very quickly going to name this. So with that Route 9 names, we can jump ahead and get ourselves a vehicle depot. Going to stick it in St. Margaret's Hope, just because I feel this will be the road depot as well for Cleat. And then we can go and stick this in there like so. buses. I'm going to go for some Daimlers. We're going to start off maybe 6 Daimlers in total here, and we're going to send them out and about. So with that done, we need to really just wait on some demand to build up. The good thing is though, we can start off by, I want to not build all the way down to Cleat, but build down to here, because I've worked something really nicely out here in my head just there. So we're going to have oil coming from the oil well at Burray, going to come through Burray, through St Margaret's Hope, and it's going to come down to the oil refinery. Then from there, on the same trucks, it can come back to St Margaret's Hope and back to Burray. I mean, am I smart or am I smart? So that means then we've pretty much got demands both ways, I mean, at least partially on the way back as far as St Margaret's Hope anyway, and then we'll have some going to Burray as well, and that's good. That is really, really good. I really like that, and I think that hopefully this should be quite profitable. My only concern is the distance. There is quite a bit of distance to carry a little bit of fuel, and our trucks are really not that big right now. If we fly all the way over to wonderful Grobster and Whitehall, we've got a lot of trucks because there is a lot of demand, but the trucks are very small. I've only got 8, and I believe it's quite soon it should be actually. I should get a new truck. I can't remember what year it is. It's maybe 1938. Is when I get a new truck, but we need a new truck with higher capacity, and I mean everything will just reap benefits when we get to that stage. So I'm maybe thinking about actually not doing that right now. Tell you what, let's lay the infrastructure and let's see how much money we've got. We've not got a lot of money right now, but I am hoping that we can make this road quite cheap, because if we look at the landscape here, it is very, very flat indeed. And there we have the infrastructure built, which hasn't cost me too much. The good thing is we're gaining money right now, so I can't really complain. Although the cash sheet is quite negative right now, please be a good unlock. Electric train, Opal, that is amazing. That is amazing. That is just what I want to see, the Opal Blitz. Alright, this changes everything. What are the chances of that timing? What I was saying about the cash sheet though, we can see that things are quite red right now, but it's because we are buying new vehicles. If I highlight 1933 where my mouse is, we lost 717k. New vehicles cost us 543k though. So you can see that that was the bulk of the work that year. And I mean, yeah, the other thing we've got to start to worry about now is property maintenance. So that's harbours, that's railway stations, that sort of thing. So it's something that we need to be aware of. Now with that though, this is big. This is big. So we'll come back to the oil here. I want to turn my attention back over to the oil here though, because we can now probably start to sell a lot of these trucks and upgrade the trucks as we've got the higher capacity, assuming that the Opal Blitz, this would be the massive tease if it didn't actually have crude oil and fuel. It does fortunately though, so that means we can start to do some upgrading. However, I don't have any money to upgrade, so what I'm going to do instead is I am actually just going to let the game speed up, and I'm going to start to see how things are getting on. Looks like we've already got people waiting on the boat for Eddie Braithwaite, which is good, 22 there. And then we've already got some people using the buses as well, 6, 2 and 3. Doubt that will be profitable though, probably not too far off it, mind you. If we go for BU Eddie. Yep, I've not named this right at all. Eddie X, I've named it. Yes, right now it's just minus, but not too far, and I'll have a look at that when the town starts to grow, which it already is as well, which is perfect to see. So I'll definitely keep an eye on that. So you join me now in December and worrying times, so it's taken me near enough all the way to November to actually make a profit. So we are making a profit, but not a lot of profit, which is still concerning, and it's at the back of my mind. I do realise that it wasn't just going to be a flick of the switch like that, so it's going to constantly be around. I am really now considering the Port Barrels mod, which basically, if you don't know, it gives you 500,000 every time you place one down. We would keep a track of how many we're using, but I do think we just need to have larger loans essentially than 30 million, because 30 million is just too restrictive. I feel like I'm going to actually have to break that, maybe even this episode, which is a real shame. Anyway, what I want to do is upgrade some trucks so we can actually get rid of some trucks, which would be splendid. So I'm thinking here the crude oil route with Grobster. Now, first of all, how much does a new truck cost? I don't think it's going to be cheap. I expect it to be over 100,000, yep. So wonderfully, I have not a lot of money for that. So what we're going to do is we're going to sell 2 of these. And I'm going to take a loan here because I think we need to. So let's take, yeah, 1.5 million out there. Now, the remaining trucks on this route, how much would it cost to upgrade the whole route? I could do it, but that's too much money. That's honestly too much money. So what we're going to do instead is we're just going to do some replace and switch. So if we buy 1, 2, 3, 4, and then if we try sell some more of these, we really should have actually checked the capacity of the route beforehand. Let me actually work that out. So we very quickly jump into here, we have a look, and we can see right now that crude oil Grobster, it's got 128 capacity. Now I've already sold or moved I think 4 trucks, 2 or 4 trucks, so roughly the capacity is about 140, 150 let's say. So now if we go and start to do a bit of selling, so if we sell you, sell you, sell you, and well we can't sell the roads depot. But if we go and deploy 4 on there, that might make a difference already. So yeah, we're already up to, so it's not actually assigned it yet, but we're basically up at 150, 148 in total across 16 trucks. So this is definitely the way forward. I'm going to quickly sell a few more of these, and then we'll get some new trucks on there. Again, I think this will take a little time to take effect, but I'm expecting a much higher demand. I'm assuming these trucks as well can go much faster, coming to think about it as well. So currently they can go up to a speed of 37 miles per hour. Benz can only go 25, so we might actually have to look at the road speed as well. Let's buy 4 and let's stick them on there, and let's leave that for now. Let's get the game back at ×3 speed. About to lose a lot of money because we're flicking into a new financial year. How fast can... So I think medium can only go at 31, so we need to upgrade this to a country road so we can definitely get the most out of this. That's not going to cost me too much money, which is good. It's going to cost me about 9k when I get the money. There should just be a lot less traffic on these roads though, which is good, because before it was just absolutely heaving. Good thing is we might actually make a profit in February this year. We have, wonderful. Still can't afford to pay the 23,000 to build that road though, but we are doing much better. It's weird, there's so much fluctuation in this game, and that's one thing, especially with boats and planes, that they really fix for the next game. Let's do that, and let's do that. That's the upgrading done there. Let's start to upgrade some of these smaller sections along here as well, just because of the trucks. And especially going in between towns, there's no needs. I've definitely selected the wrong road from the start, and that is my bad entirely. Right, if we pause the game there on the 30th, tiny bit of money, so we can do some tiny amount of upgrades. We'll upgrade that section there, that section there. That'll do. Very small stuff, but that will do. We can now see the new trucks are right behind each other, which is not very efficient at all. The loading time should be faster as well, actually, coming to think of it, which I'm quite happy about. But let's fly away and let's take our final million loan out. And let's actually get some trucks going back and forth here and set all the infrastructure up and going. We've already got the depots. Reason I've built the depot opposite here is because I do expect us to have some fuel eventually going into Cleat. I've made this depot here because it's on the very edge of the sphere of influence, and it means you don't have to go all the way along the road. You can sort of see what I've tried to do along there, and I decided against it. Burray's population is already growing, the bus is doing not too bad, and then I guess with St Margaret's Hope it has definitely grown quite a bit, it was only on maybe 100 and... I can't remember the population actually, it's grown anyway, and we can also see that this was empty before, which gives me the idea I need to build a railway station now, before I forget, and I've mentioned it many a time, but I think I do need to do it now. So what we're going to do is we're maybe going to do one here on the edge of town, because I do expect this line to continue down to Cleat eventually. If we very quickly borrow the final millions, I can't borrow any more this traditional way. What we're going to do is we're just going to build the train station out there like that for the time being. I expect the Burray train station to be probably along here, though we can always build 2. Let's very quickly rotate this around and let's build you there, for example. That costs a lot of money, but those are nicely in line, and then we'll not bother about Cleat because we've not touched Cleat yet. Okay, so let's pause the game before we get to the end of the financial year and we lose all of that loan. let's have a think about this. So if we look at the two towns and we look at the industry, we can see that, okay, I'm quite tempted to use bus stops to actually drop off cargo goods. And I know that can be done, but I don't know if it is the best approach to do. I'm just trying to have a think here. Is it the best thing to do or not? I'd much rather have cargo itself. I'd much rather have a cargo depot. I really would. Problem is here with Burray, it's quite limiting. If we go for something like that there. Now this is where things might get a bit costly. So I'm going to have to remove that building there. That's going to cost me 300,000. That could cost me 200,000 to come down from there. Let's do that, and then I'm going to hope the AI is going to be smart and bridge across from there. I realise that's sort of out the way right now, but eventually I'm hoping that this road comes along and then all the vehicles can just run along. So that's fine. With St. Margaret's Hope, it's... oh, this is good. This is good. We delete that there. And then if we very quickly... So this is good. The AI has helped us out for once. It has built some roads for us. So if we rotate that around there... Problem is, this isn't really going to be easy to access for trucks passing through, but it'll only come via here on the way back, I suppose. So it's not too bad, and that covers all of the industry really nicely there. St. Margaret's Hope, it's really nicely split up with all its areas, so I'm quite happy about that indeed. Do we need a new bus stop yet? I don't think we do. I think the bus stop coverage is fine there, and then coming back down to here, we're all good. So with that said, let's create the route, and this route's going to be a bit more of a complex route. So we're going to start here at Burray East, we're then going to run all the way down to... No. Where's the oil well? This is the oil well up here, yeah, that's right, that is right, my bad. So then we're going to come down to the oil refinery here at Cleet North, then on the way back though, we're going to stop at St. Margaret's Hope. And I think we'll just start off with St. Margaret's Hope for now. I think that's the best bet, and then... Or maybe we should not. Maybe we should start off in... I think we're not going to start in St. Margaret's Hope. Twist ball. And we're going to start off in Burray, just because it's even less off the track. I think that'd be a good idea. So I'm very quickly going to name this. So I've had to name this route quite interestingly because it is quite an interesting route. So it's carrying fuel, it's carrying crude oil, it's also serving Burray, and it will eventually serve St. Margaret's as well. One thing I have had a thought about is actually trying to get... Because I do expect eventually oil to be going on the train, because we're going to need a really high demand to come down to here, because this is going to be serving 3 villages, maybe even up to... Oh, no, oh... There is an oil well at St. Mary's, and there's actually another oil well over by Gritley Tanker Ness as well. Okay, maybe not. So yeah, it probably will still serve Burray, but it's not going to go any further up. Which is cool. That's good. I like that a lot. Okay, so all we need to do now really is dive in and add in some trucks. We've already got our vehicle depot on the land. Let's go ahead and buy 1, 2, 3, 4 trucks to start off with, and let's get it onto the crude oil. And let's just leave the game alone for a period of time. So if we quickly have a look at the money sheet, things aren't good again, so we are losing money consistently year on year. The running costs are causing me a lot of issues, but it's actually the loan interest which are causing me the big thing. Also the property maintenance, it's gone up slightly. I mean, it's only gone up about, what, 25k, so that's very, very small. That's down to the new depots. So it's really the loan interest rates that are now just causing me a problem. So we've lost 110k and we've lost 245k in with this episode. And what we're going to do, instead of having loan interest, because I'm sort of tired of paying loan interest, it's not that fun, what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer this loan. And you'll see what I'm about to do in a second. Before I go and transfer my loan though, I just want to quickly have a look around the map and see how we are doing in today's building. So first of all, let's start off with the bus route in between Burray and St. Margaret's. I'm not too surprised at this one, to be honest. That one's already in the profit, as we can see, 33,000. That's very, very good indeed. Probably add more buses on there if I had money. The next thing is the crude oil. Now the crude oil is already in the profit, but it is very much fluctuating. We've only got 4 trucks on there. It was in the negative. It really is needing just more trucks on there, because 4 minutes frequency, it'll be in the green, it'll be in the red, it'll be in the green, be in the red. So it's a mixed bag, really. It is a mixed bag. Still losing money out at Long Hope and Lioness, that's unfortunate. Again, it's just such a big island, but I've got something that I need to tell you all. Then with Egglesey and Eddie, they're losing marginal amounts. I'm not really concerned about them at all. On Egglesey, I might actually re-downgrade the buses again, or just reroute the whole route entirely, because it's not nice at all. I really don't know. It's difficult. I've already looked at this route. And I might rejig it again. We'll have a look at it. I just don't know how to make it. I don't know what the best is for this. If anyone's got any suggestions, then please leave them down in the comments section below. Then the next thing we have got is the boats. So the boats, there were some changes. We have made the change of upgrading the boat from Burray over here. So we are up to 75 capacity. It is doing not too bad. It is... I mean, it could be more profitable. We're sitting at about 14k at the start of the episode. We're not anymore, so that's a bit disappointing, but again, we can look at that. We can maybe even downgrade it if we feel we need to. If we jump over to our new boat in between Braeswick and Eddy, it is slowly but surely getting there. The boat itself actually isn't too full right now. It's maybe only at 36. I do expect that to be profitable quite shortly though, as the demand definitely increases in Eddy, and we can see how much Eddy's grown in this episode, to be honest. It really has come quite a long way. Finally, the bus route in with Eddy, how is that now doing? Well, I've actually named it correctly, so yeah, it's not doing great, but I mean, Eddy is a very small place still, though it has spread itself nicely out, which I'm quite liking, and it's really flat as well here, so it's nice and easy to expand upon. If we come over to the crude oil itself, it's doing not too bad. We just need to move more of it. The thing is though, is that Grobster is at 97%, and then Whitehall is at 94%. So what I want to do is really just replace the trucks, but not the capacity. So I want to do one-for-one updates or changes on the trucks, and then I want to leave it at that, because I don't have any really other place to export to. Yes, we could maybe think about exporting elsewhere, but there's not really any place close enough. I've tried wire off camera before, that didn't work out. I do think anywhere else, Braeswick might possibly be, if we look at this by camera, Eddy might be the closest, but I do still think Egglesey is quite close. So, I don't know what we're going to do there for the time being, but we'll touch on that in the next episodes. So as I mentioned earlier on in this episode, I want to change our loan, and you might be thinking, how can you change a loan? Loans are fixed, they're a part of the game, and you pay interest on them. Well, yes, but no. So there's this mod, as you can see on screen, called Port Barrel, and I've mentioned what it does. Essentially, you put it down and it gives you 500,000, and you don't pay interest on that. It's sort of just a one-off asset that you place. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace my loan with these. So they give me 500,000, so if I place 60 of those down, which I'm doing in the background now, that gives me a total of 30 million. So what I'll do is I'll pay that 30 million loan back, but I'm going to keep a track of how many port barrels I've placed. I've then placed an additional 10 to give me 35 million in total. So I'm basically got a loan of 35 million, no longer with the game, but I've got a loan essentially with port barrels, if that makes sense. And that means I don't have to pay interest while still having a loan. So basically, we're no longer taking a loan through the game, but we're taking a loan through port barrels, and it's at 35 million and we're paying no interest. So there we have all of the gameplay for today. A quick look at the maps. We can see that we're making a lot of progress around the outsides, and that was really my initial aim in episode 1, to leave the mainland in the middle and then go and start working out in. And we're near enough there. So in the north, we're pretty much where I want to be. The only thing I want to probably do is somehow connect up Rapness, Eddy and Egglesey. Those 3 towns need connected, but outside of that we're there. Now there's a little town on an island just north of Kirkwall called Balflower, which that's probably going to be connected in when we start connecting up Kirkwall, so I'm happy to leave that for now. We've got where the island of Long Hope and Lioness is in the bottom left. We've still got Rackwick, we talked about it in this episode. Right now I'm not going to bother connecting up until I have a bit more money, because that will be a loss for quite a while. That island is really difficult actually. And then where we've started in this episode, we've now got at the bottom, or bottom centre I guess you could say, we've got Cleet, St Margaret's Hope and Burray connected. Then it's onto the mainland, up to St Mary's, and we want to start really working on that. And we'll probably start doing that, I think, in the next episode, or the next 2 episodes at least anyway. There's 1 or 2 things, smaller things I want to work on in the next episode, and we'll maybe really just see where the demand is taking us. But I'm really happy, and we're just about to break onto the mainland, and I'm quite excited about it. The mainland will actually be much easier. It will be where the money is, because there's going to be much more consistency, much more people. A lot of the towns are already very big over there. Kirkwall's already on a population of 400, which is quite a lot for a starting town. Most of the outer island starting towns have had a population of maybe 100, so it's been quite difficult to grow some of them, especially islands with single towns and not the best connections, but they are definitely improving now that we've gone forward quite a lot of years. We're up to near enough in the 40s, so we have really gained 40 years over these past 6 or so episodes. When I say 6, I actually do mean 5. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. I'm just thinking through things in my head and really what I want to do in each episode. Make sure you stay around for the next episode though, that will be quite exciting, as we should hopefully touch at least part of the mainland. But that is it for this episode, ladies and gentlemen, so please leave a like rating if you've not done so already. Leave a comment down below on what you'd like to see in this series. I will try and incorporate your feedback if it is a good idea. Go ahead and check out my Twitter, my Patreon and my Discord. Links for all of those are in the description below, and again a massive thanks to Nicole H for supporting me on Patreon. And that's all, ladies and gentlemen, so thank you very much for watching. My name is Bigfoot, and I'm out.